And what I watch now is a video about Super Mario 64. Pen and Cohen, a channel which does exclusively Super Mario 64 stuff, but all of it is very technical, and I watch all of his videos because they are very entertaining, surprising, and educational. And it's still funny, and I want to know everything about the game even though I don't play it. So let's watch this video. It's about the CHOMP and all of its bugs. So let's check that out.
Today, I'll be showing every CHOMP glitch in Super Mario 64, and you guys are gonna eat it up.
Yes, I'm eat up.
This is CHOMP.
I
He's a
eat
big
up
black
all of
spherical
your
enemy,
content.
and there's only one of him in the whole game here in Bob-omb Battlefield. Now behind him are chains that tie him down to the wooden post.
I'm not gonna go too much into detail here, but just in case anyone on this planet does not know Super Mario 64, this is a game, there was Nintendo, blah blah blah. This is the first level in this game, and this is, like, I think, the 5th star, and the only enemy, the only CHOMP in the whole game is here. Those stumps are there are more stumps there. I was not aware that there are multiple bugs around this enemy.
Consequently, he's bound to a certain radius around that post. So if you're outside that radius, you're safe from him since he can't reach you. He just gets stuck at the perimeter of the circle. But if you go into the radius, then he might hit you, which gives you 3 damage, which is quite a lot for an enemy. Now, CHOMP will bounce around while he tries to aim at you. Once he sees you, he stops bouncing, pauses for a second, and then does a lunge. Interestingly, you can interrupt him from doing the lunge if you move out of his line of sight quick enough, but it is a bit difficult. Alternatively, you can also just avoid getting hit by the lunge by jumping over him. Now, like all objects, CHOMP's hitbox is a cylinder.
Can you jump below him? I don't think so.
Which means it doesn't quite line up with his spherical body. And so, that's why you're able to go slightly inside of his model without him hurting you. See, I'm perfectly safe standing here because I'm outside of the red cylinder. Oddly enough, if we get hit by CHOMP, we can then go into his hitbox and stay there forever without getting hit again.
Yeah,
because
hitbox,
Mario's invincibility frames get extended if he's inside an active hitbox.
I know that.
But also, we can actually just stand right next to CHOMP and still be perfectly safe. That's because he can't turn sharply enough to hit Mario, so we just stay in a spot that he can't reach.
How precise is that?
After enough time, Mario will even fall asleep in that spot. Similarly, we can do this trick to stay safe on top of the wooden post, where once again, CHOMP will never be able to reach us. Now, unlike most enemies, CHOMP can't be killed. Instead, you're supposed to free him by ground pounding the wooden post 3 times. That triggers a cutscene where CHOMP jumps around a few times, breaks the metal gate, and then does a big jump far away where you never see him ever again.
That is how I always collected the star. I know that there is a glitch with a Bob-omb to get through that chain. I tried it once or twice, but I never succeeded. I'm not a speedrunner after all. Yeah.
And now that the gate's broken, it gives you access to the star. That's how you're supposed to get it. Now, as a kid, I always wanted to see what CHOMP did after he jumps away, because they conveniently have him go off camera right at that moment. Well, in this day and age, I can easily show what happens. He does the big jump and then just disappears. So, sorry kid me, it's not as interesting as you had hoped. Now, if you free CHOMP while he's in a certain spot, it can actually cause him to jump over the fence during the cutscene. So he ends up jumping around in the dirt area below before finishing off the cutscene as best he can. So what causes this to happen? Well, if we watch it in slow motion, we can see that CHOMP gets a big displacement to the side right when he starts jumping. And that displacement happens because CHOMP is getting pushed by the walls of the wooden post. In fact, let me show this in more detail. So the wooden post has 8 walls around it, and the wall hitboxes for CHOMP look like this. So first, CHOMP gets affected by the lower right wall, whose hitbox is this one, so that pushes him southeast. And then second, CHOMP gets affected by the lower left wall, whose hitbox is this one, so that pushes him southwest. And so if we add those 2 vectors together, it results in a big displacement to the south. Now, CHOMP doesn't get affected by...
Why is the wall hitbox of CHOMP so big? that wooden post almost looks like a cross from the chain chomp's perspective.
Walls while he's still bound to the wooden post. See, at this point, he can go straight through the wooden post without it affecting him. But once we free him and he starts jumping around, then he does get affected by walls. And so if he happens to be inside the wall hitboxes of the wooden post right when we free him, he can get a big displacement on the first frame of the jumps, causing him to go over the fence.
I see.
Even though Chain Chomp is invincible, there is a way to attack him. Specifically, we can grab a Bob-omb and throw it at him. That causes Chain Chomp to fly upwards for a bit, and he also gets a funny tilt as he's now facing upwards. But it goes away after he lunges. But there's also one other object we can attack him with, which is a cork box. If we throw this into him, he does the same thing. Now, if we drop the cork box onto the ground, it won't affect Chain Chomp because the cork box doesn't have an active hitbox by default. It only gets its active hitbox once you throw it, at which point the active hitbox stays there and never goes away. So if we throw the cork box and re-grab it, it'll retain its active hitbox even if we then just put it down. So now I can drop it near Chain Chomp and it'll count as attacking him. We can also put the cork box on top of the wooden post and it'll hit him over and over. Look at that, the almighty Chain Chomp being defeated by a stationary cork box.
Oh my god.
There's nothing he can do, it just falls straight down back into it. Surprisingly, we can also use the box to hit Chain Chomp during the cutscene after freeing him. And this time, because Chain Chomp is no longer chained down, he goes flying very high up during the attack. Like it's the same amount of momentum from before, but now you can see its full force. I don't think
is this soft lock now?
Programmers intended for this to happen, but after he goes up and down several
I guess the box disappears at some
times, the box eventually disappears, allowing him to finish off the cutscene as normal. Here's another view of it, so you can see just how high up he goes.
Wow. Wow. Wow, I think that's almost as high as Mario can go with the cannon and the flying cabin there. And everything.
Pretty high, but he falls down relatively slowly because his downwards velocity is capped. And if the cork box hits Chain Chomp as he's jumping towards the gate to break it, it'll actually soft lock the game. That's because Chain Chomp's current action lasts until he collides with a wall, which is meant to be the gate. But since we canceled all of his horizontal momentum, we'll just be waiting here forever now because he'll never hit any wall. So the cutscene never ends. We can also get Chain Chomp to touch the box on his last jump where he tries to jump far away. Since we interrupt that jump, Chain Chomp doesn't end up jumping away and we just see him disappear in front of us. Now remember, the whole point of Chain Chomp is to release him so that he breaks the gate and lets you get the star. But there are some ways to get the star without having to free him.
Yeah, I am aware of one of the Bob-omb action.
For example, speedrunners will do a trick called bomb clip, where they pick up this Bob-omb, throw it, re-grab it while it's bloated, and then use it to clip through the gate, which gives them quick access to the star. Now,
at some point I will succeed in that, and then I will show you.
When you do this trick, the bloated Bob-omb pushes Mario backwards continuously. You see, when you hold a Bob-omb, the Bob-omb you see in Mario's hands isn't a real object, it's just a graphic. The real Bob-omb is hovering invisibly in front of Mario, and the Bob-omb's hitbox is so big that it infringes on Mario's hitbox and pushes him out of it every frame.
Yeah, only on like inflated Bob-ombs, but yeah.
And since the Bob-omb keeps snapping to be right in front of Mario, it continues to push him, ultimately moving him backwards.
And the push is stronger the bigger the Bob-omb is.
But that doesn't help you get through the gate. To do that, you have to throw the Bob-omb, because on the frame that Mario releases the Bob-omb, it appears right next to him very close. And so it pushes him back extra far in this frame, which is enough to get through the gate's hitbox. Now, if that's too tough for you, there is an easier way to get behind the gate using a cork box.
What?
We can bring the box into the corner, drop it, and it ends up pushing Mario through the gate.
I could have done that.
But why does that work? Well,
I didn't know this.
View of it. You can see that there's a little gap between the wall hitboxes, which allows Mario to get very close to the corner. Then Mario drops the box, placing it out of bounds. Now the box has a failsafe for when this happens, which places it directly at Mario's position. Then the box pushes Mario forwards, and the wall hitbox pushes him to the side. And so that's how he ends up behind the gate. Alternatively, you can also backwards long jump to build up speed and use that to get behind the gate. right. You can build up hyperspeed on the
easiest.
Koopa shell and use that to clip behind it. And
The second
finally, we
easiest.
can use this Bob-omb from up here. We grab him while he's bloated to get backwards momentum, and that lets us clip through the wall and
That's actually the easiest way to get in there. Okay, it gets increasingly
end up behind the gate.
ridiculous.
Now, there's also a way to do this maneuver where Mario temporarily goes out of bounds, which kills you and ejects you from the level. But before the screen finishes fading out, we can grab the star.
That's probably the fastest. Is this the fastest way? You don't have to watch the star animation and the save screen menu here. I mean, technically that is the fastest way, I think.
Counts as collecting the star, but we also get ejected from the level as if we died. This is called the Death Star glitch, and it's a technique used to go fast in TASes because exiting the course after a death lets you re-enter the painting quicker than if you just exited normally after getting a star. That's why.
Okay, I think I know so much about the game and speedrunning this game and stuff. In theory, not in practice. I will just say some things that Pen and Koik will say like a few seconds after me, so... or the other way around.
This maneuver is used in the A button challenge as the fastest way to get this star in 0 A presses. So we get the Koopa shell, build up hyperspeed, and use that to quickly get up the mountain. And from there, we can grab the Bob-omb, throw it to make it bloated, and then use it to do the Death Star glitch. And in fact, the fastest way to do this star normally, outside of any button challenges, is also to use a Death Star glitch. But this time, we do it using the lower Bob-omb since it's closer and since we have the ability to jump with it in this case.
Yeah.
Now, we can't talk about Chain Chomp without also talking about the wooden post he's connected to. Like all wooden posts, if you run around it quick enough, it spawns 5 coins for you to collect. But let me explain how this works.
Is there not a single exception for that? This is correct. The one in Tall Tall Mountain works. The other 4 or 3 in Tall Tall Mountain work. The 4 in this stage where the red coins are, they work. I think that's actually correct. I thought there is a wooden post where it doesn't work.
Every wooden post keeps track of a timer and how many revolutions you run around it. It also has a spherical radius around it. Now, once you enter that radius, the timer starts counting up, giving you 200 frames or about 7 seconds to run around it enough. And you have to run around it 3 times to trigger the coins to spawn. Now, if the timer completes before you finish running around, no coins will spawn. Instead, you'll end up running around it forever with nothing happening. But luckily, you can reset the timer by exiting the radius and going back in. So the coins aren't permanently lost. You can just reset it as many times as you want to try again. Now,
I thought it will just reset the rotation thing is.
running 3 revolutions around the wooden post does take some time, so Tassers found a faster way to do it. You can go onto the wooden post, jump, and then do small movements to the left and right that each count as half a revolution. So using that technique, we can get the coins to spawn in an instant. This method is even used in the latest iteration of the 120 star TAS. Look at that, Mario just goes to each wooden post one by one and triggers their coins to spawn in a split second. And here comes Chain Chomp's post. Just like the others, we can get the coins super quickly. Alternatively, we can spawn the coins quickly without jumping by doing a trick called arrow walking. That's a technique where you walk so slowly that you can even move backwards on some frames. So like the jump technique, this allows you to spawn the coins very quickly. And this method is used in the A button challenge because obviously we can't press A to do the jumping technique. So we go onto each wooden post and arrow walk on it right at the center. It's like Mario's doing a funky dance on each one, and we also get a double star spawn to save even more time. Now, above Chain Chomp's wooden post, you'll also notice a red coin.
Yeah. Is it not centered? I never...
There's no glitch involving this red coin, but there is a challenge. You see on Wikipedia, there's a page about single goal challenges, like little challenges that seem like they might be theoretically possible, but no one's done them yet. And one of the unsolved ones is to free Chain Chomp without collecting that red coin. Because think about it, every time you free Chain Chomp, you inevitably collect that red coin. It's weird, we can do so many things in this game, like building up speed, creating elaborate Goomba structures, traveling to parallel universes just to open the underwater door, but freeing Chain Chomp without collecting the red coin, that we can't do.
I cannot think of a solution at the moment.
There's even a glitch where if Mario's touching 4 objects at once, he can go through other objects because it occupies all 4 of his neighbor slots. Like here, I'm touching 4 coin clones at once, so Mario's able to go right
Chucky
through
can never
Chuckya. But
reach him.
unfortunately, that same technique doesn't work for avoiding the red coin, though it does let us go through Chain Chomp, so I guess that's something at least. Now, a fun fact about Chain Chomp, he actually makes a different barking sound on the US version of the game compared to the Japanese version.
Really?
Listen.
Woof woof.
Also, bonus
I knew both sounds. I never realized that is the case though.
fact, on the Nintendo 64 version, Chain Chomp's mouth is a bright red color, which looks normal. But on the Wii Virtual Console version, his mouth is a dark purple color, which I don't think looks as good. Look at the difference. How could they have let this happen? And
Why is the console port darker in general? This is, the left side is way brighter.
how could they have let this happen? And another thing I find interesting, the shine on Chain Chomp is part of his 3D model, whereas for all other objects like King Bob-omb, the shine is part of a 2D billboard texture that always faces the camera.
I think that has something to do with the mouth that opens. So they had to make a model instead of just a sphere.
So for example, if we rotate the 2 objects, Chain Chomp's shine will move with him as if it's part of his body. But King Bob-omb's shine stays in the same place, giving the illusion that it's reflecting a static light source, aka the sun. Also, I just love how Chain Chomp looks on this frame of his animation. Look at that face. It only lasts a 30th of a second, but it lives on in my heart. Now there's also a glitch in this game called cloning. Specifically, you can grab an object right as it unloads, which lets you hold a vacant object slot. And from there, you can have another object load into that same slot, which lets you hold that new object, even though it may not be meant to be held. And that can cause some pretty weird and unintended things to happen. Now, unfortunately, we can't clone Chain Chomp himself because he only loads once at the very start of the level. He does disappear and reappear if you go far away and come back, but that's just him toggling whether he's visible or not. He's still loaded the whole time. We can clone one of Chain Chomp's chains though, because those load when you get close to him. Then we can release it, causing there to be a gap in the chain, but that doesn't really affect anything. Somehow the chain still holds him down, despite missing a piece. But aside from Chain Chomp and the 4 chains, there's actually one other object in play here, Chain Chomp's pivot. The pivot is an invisible object right at the wooden post, and it's actually this object that controls where Chain Chomp is bound to. And like the chains, the pivot loads when you get close to Chain Chomp, meaning we can clone it.
I have an idea.
From there, we can release it, causing Chain Chomp to be bound to a new pivot point.
The problem is you cannot unpivot this pivot point. What if you somehow manage to clone the Chain Chomp pivot point, the Chain Chomp's stomp, to a different stomp location, and then free, then make the stomp, the thingy into the ground so the Chain Chomp is free? Would that work theoretically? Because then you can avoid the red coin.
Isn't that crazy? Now Chain Chomp is over here, bound to a completely different range. He got hit by the Bob-omb, but remember, he's still bound to the new point, so he won't go flying up into the sky like when he's free. But that also means the wooden post is unguarded, so it's easy to ground pound it without getting hit. And that still triggers the cutscene even...
Okay, the wooden post is still here, only the loading point for the wooden post is not here.
Chain Chomp is all the way over there, so he does bounce around a little differently than normal, but he's still able to complete the cutscene. Interestingly, because the pivot is invisible, it doesn't update the HULP when you hold it. Like, the HULP is the last place you held an object, but it only updates when the thing you're holding gets rendered. So if you're holding something invisible, then nothing gets rendered in your hands, and so the HULP just stays where it is over there. And so, when you release the pivot, it doesn't end up where you currently are, but where you were when you first cloned it. But if we use the hat in hand glitch to have the HULP stay in a remote location, then we can place Chain Chomp basically wherever we want. For example, I can put Chain Chomp next to the cannon. I wonder what I should do now. Come here, Chain Chomp. I have a little surprise for you. A little closer, and he fell in. What's he gonna do to me now? Oh my god, he can climb out. Yeah, you see, Chain Chomp can essentially climb walls, not because he interacts with the wall, but because he's moving into out of bounds on the other side of the wall. That cancels the horizontal component of his movement, but he still moves vertically, which is moving straight up.
There are surprisingly many glitches for an enemy that appears like only one time.
We can also do the same thing using an invisible wall, since those are made of out of bounds. We can release Chain Chomp's pivot in the air so that his range barely touches the ground. Consequently, he has a much smaller radius to move around in than normal. If we release the pivot slightly higher, then we can get Chain Chomp to be in a broken state, where he just bounces over and over and never lunges. Look at that. What's he gonna do to me now? Just lean vaguely towards me? And if we release it even higher up, Chain Chomp just hangs there in place.
You just hanged the Chain Chomp? You cannot do that. Okay, the frame rate is not high enough. The mouth is not closed here.
Don't worry, he's perfectly fine. He literally can't die. But he won't be lunging at us anytime soon. We can release Chain Chomp on top of the elevators.
Wait, I think I just realized something. Every second bite or second time he closes the mouth is this frame.
Now
the other one is like this. It's like this wide open. But the bite before that is this. Okay.
Now he repeatedly goes through a cycle of landing and then becoming airborne again. Man, what a life. We can put Chain Chomp behind the gate, you know, the one that he's supposed to open for us. Kind of ironic. We can put Chain Chomp's pivot at one of the other wooden posts. Now it looks like he's attached to this one. But if I ground pound the wooden post, nothing happens.
Ah, sad. So you cannot avoid the red coin on the other thing.
Because why would they have programmed that to work? And to watch this one, I can release Chain Chomp next to a ledge and then have him lunge over the ledge and fall down. Now he's behind the wall, hovering above out of bounds.
He is out of bounds.
I can ground pound the wooden post now to free him, and something interesting happens. He ends up falling down under the course, which soft locks the game because now he'll never finish the cutscene. But you might be wondering, how far down does he go? Well, here's a zoomed out view of it. There's actually invisible water below the course at height negative 11,000 because that's just the default water level when there's no real water. So Chain Chomp ends up falling down until he goes into the water because he floats, and he'll just be waiting there for all eternity. And you can even hear the splash when he lands. Listen.
Oh yeah.
Now, I wish we could bring Chain Chomp to King Bob-omb, but we can't since he's too far away. But we can bring King Bob-omb to Chain Chomp. Specifically, we can do a trick by diving into him on a ledge, which lets us hold him as if he's a light object instead of being heavy. And from there, we can bring him all the way down to Chain Chomp. As a kid, I always wanted...
But King Bob-omb is just jumping back up the mountain, right? I'm pretty sure.
To make these two guys fight each other, since they're like the two big black circle enemies in the level. Who would win? Well, we'll never know because they just go right through each other. What a shame. And I should mention, if you move Chain Chomp somewhere else by releasing the pivot, it's actually only temporary. Because you see, if you go far away from his new location, Chain Chomp will deactivate. And then if you go close to the new location, Chain Chomp will reappear back at his original location near the wooden post. Now,
so it saves itself.
Does his little jumps during the cutscene, each jump is actually aimed towards Mario, but offset by a little bit. Let me illustrate this. So here Chain Chomp's about to do his jumps. So he calculates the angle to Mario and then either adds or subtracts to it by a fixed amount. One of those will be the new jumping angle. So he jumps and then does it again on all the subsequent jumps. Now normally, that would result in him jumping all around Mario, who should be on the wooden post at the time of the cutscene. But Mario doesn't have to be on the wooden post during the cutscene. See, here's what we can do. Release the pivot to move Chain Chomp far away from the wooden post, deactivate Chain Chomp by moving far away from his new location, then free Chain Chomp by ground pounding the wooden post. Now,
But the chain jump is not
The
loaded.
cutscene doesn't start right away because Chain Chomp is currently deactivated. But we can go to his new location to make him reappear, and then the cutscene starts as soon as we touch the ground. Now Chain Chomp jumps towards Mario during the cutscene, even though Mario is pretty far away. So using this technique, we can have Chain Chomp jump around in some interesting ways. For example, I can land on this hill over here, which will make Chain Chomp jump this way. Then he ends up going over the fence again, and on the final jump, he actually clips through the floor, falling down to the water below and soft locking the game again.
No!
He just loves that water, doesn't he?
How many ways of soft locking is there for every enemy?
Here I start the cutscene from near the gate. Consequently, Chain Chomp jumps towards the gate during the cutscene, and then he ends up breaking the gate with the most milquetoast jump I've seen. Here's a similar one, but where I start the cutscene from behind the gate. So he bounces towards the gate, but then when he's supposed to jump into the gate to break it, he ends up jumping the wrong way because he was on the other side of it. But not only is he going the wrong way, he also ends up moving extremely slowly because his speed during this jump is proportional to how far away from the gate he was when he started it.
Not very
remember,
far.
this jump lasts until he hits a wall, which ends up being the fence, and then the cutscene proceeds as normal.
Can you make the speed of this jump being 0? I assume it's not possible.
And of course, no matter what wall he hits, it still triggers the gate to break, even if that means breaking it from really far away. And here I lure a Bob-omb over to break this box right as I start the cutscene from on top of the box. The result is that Mario ends up standing in the air during the whole cutscene. See, his shadow is way below him, but after the cutscene, he just falls down as normal. Now, there are also some ways to mess with the cutscene itself. For example, we can throw King Bob-omb for the last hit on him and then jump away before he lands so that we don't trigger his cutscene yet. Then I use the cannon to blast over to Chain Chomp for his cutscene. The result is that both King Bob-omb's cutscene and Chain Chomp's cutscene try to play at the same time. Like you can see King Bob-omb's star moving into place on top of the mountain. So now I can move Mario around even though Chain Chomp's cutscene is trying to start. Like Chain Chomp is free, but he won't do the rest of the cutscene until I stand still for a bit. But if I keep moving around, then I can delay the cutscene as much as I want. And remember, Chain Chomp is free right now, so if I throw the Bob-omb into him, he goes flying way high up in the air. But the camera doesn't follow him this time because right now it's following Mario instead. Okay, now I'll stand still for a bit to get Chain Chomp to move. So he does his bounces, but I still retain full control over Mario. And interestingly, after he jumps away, the camera gets stuck just looking at him and he doesn't disappear. Here I do it again, but from a different position so that we can see Chain Chomp after he jumps away. So now he's just stuck here and we can interact with him.
How do you figure that stuff out? It's insane.
Fortunately, I can't grab him by the chain like you can in Super Mario Sunshine, but I can blow him up with a Bob-omb to make him jump into the air. It doesn't kill him though, he's still here and won't disappear, and he'll still hurt us if we knock into him. Now after
I mean, technically you can still collect the star, so everything is fine, I guess.
Camera gets stuck. If I talk to a Bob-omb buddy, the game actually soft locks because it's not able to transition into the Bob-omb buddy's dialogue. If I read a sign, the dialogue does come up, but then the game soft locks afterwards when it's supposed to hand control back over to Mario. And if I'm in first person mode when the camera gets stuck, then it's also a soft lock. I can't exit first person mode or even turn Mario's head anymore. I'm just stuck like this forever. Here I get Chain Chomp to fall through the floor again during his bounces. But this time, we're not stuck in a cutscene, so I can actually go to an edge and look down at him. What do you think he's doing down there? Here I throw a Bob-omb into Chain Chomp right as he's jumping towards the gate to break it. Consequently, Chain Chomp gets stuck in place since now he'll never hit a wall. Now, last time we did this, it caused a soft lock.
I understand that the Bob-ombs kind of mess with
but this time
Chain
we're
Chomp.
free to move around all we want. So basically, we've just neutralized Chain Chomp with no adverse effects on the camera.
Yeah,
now,
better collect a different star or else you're soft locked.
after the camera gets stuck, we can still use the teleporters. This moves the camera to the
Or just collect the star with some different method.
new teleporter, but it's still just stuck in place aiming at Chain Chomp. Here I enter a cannon right as the cutscene starts playing, so the cannon reticule ends up aiming at Chain Chomp. I can still aim the cannon wherever I want and shoot it, but you can't actually see where I'm aiming at. And after I shoot, the cannon reticule disappears. And then here the camera gets stuck, but then I collect the last red coin, triggering the red coin star to appear. And that actually gets Chain Chomp to disappear and freeze the camera. So it successfully completed the cutscene. Now there's also a second way to mess with the cutscene. Before we did it using King Bob-omb, but we can also do it by starting the race with Koopa the Quick. This time it's a little different.
Oh my god, I never realized that there are so many cutscenes alone in the first level. There is like 3 different King Bob-omb cutscenes. There are 2 Koopa the Quick cutscenes. There are cutscenes for the Chain Chomp. Wow. I never realized there is so much. Star cutscenes, like the spawning star of the flying island, the spawning star of the red coins, probably the spawning star of the flying rings. Every single cutscene can interact with the Chain Chomp cutscene, and probably with each other too. There's so much here.
You can still move Mario around even though Chain Chomp is free, but now the camera is stuck in place right off the bat.
Oh my god. Stuck camera Koopa race challenge. I don't know if that is actually very difficult.
And like before, if I stand still for a bit, Chain Chomp will start his jumps. And I can mess with him during his jumps since I still have full control over Mario. Man, I'm never gonna get tired of seeing Chain Chomp blast to the sky like that.
No,
and then
I
once
like
he jumps
Chain
away,
Chomp.
the camera just goes back to normal. We do not end up with a bad camera at the end. Now worth noting, the Hulp only updates when Mario's on screen within the camera view. But since now the camera gets stuck in place, we can use that to mess around with the Hulp. For example, here I pick up a box. Now the Hulp updates while I'm on screen, but once I leave the camera view, the Hulp stays where it was. See, the Hulp just stays there in the air on the left side of the camera view. Then I can go around the camera to the other side and throw the box to myself from across the map. Here I enter the cannon during the broken camera, and because Mario stays still while in the cannon, it triggers Chain Chomp to start his jumps. Afterwards, the camera returns to Mario, but now the cannon is invisible with no reticule, but I can still aim it and shoot from it. Here I talk to a Bob-omb buddy during the broken camera. The dialogue doesn't come up, but because I'm standing still, it causes Chain Chomp to do his jumps. But then after, the camera returns to Mario, and only then do we get the dialogue. So it's actually not a soft lock this time. Here I read a sign during the broken camera. I can scroll through the text, but then afterwards, it's a soft lock, just like before. I can also talk to Koopa the Quick at the end of the race during the broken camera. No dialogue comes up this time, I just get stuck in yet another soft lock. I can also teleport during the broken camera, and that actually fixes it. The camera's now back to normal and will follow Mario. So we're basically in the same state as before when we did the cutscene glitch using King Bob-omb. And just like then, if I stand still, Chain Chomp will do his little bounces and then jump away. But also like before, at the end, the camera then gets stuck in place aiming at Chain Chomp, who doesn't disappear. And finally, the same thing happens if I trigger a star to appear. The camera then goes back to normal and follows Mario. But after Chain Chomp jumps away, the camera just gets stuck again. And so there you have it. That's every Chain Chomp glitch in Super Mario 64.
Crazy, there are way more than I expected, and I also start to love this phase.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Amazing video. You are the GOAT. You are the GOAT. Oh my gosh. Check them out. If you don't know them yet, check them out. He's great. Doing really great content. One of my favorite videos is probably the one with invisible walls. That was amazing. And the unopened door, which was opened. Yeah, those two are probably my favorites so far.